All right, we're back out here with a couple of DevelopAir Mini, this time at our indiscreet flight field location. We're going to be flying this DevelopAir Mini. This is a DevelopAir Mini you've now seen at least a handful of times if you've been watching our videos over the last few weeks or so, last couple of weeks. This is different than the DevelopAir Mini that you've seen if you've watched the optical flow and rangefinder videos. So we're now up to 3 DevelopAir Mini that you've watched over the last couple of weeks, have a couple more coming. This alongside this DevelopAir Mini and 2 more DevelopAir Mini are going to one of our customers, Southern Crescent Technical College. They were actually originally purchased at kits, which we don't currently have available and may not have available for the foreseeable future, if at all, moving forward. Right now you can only purchase a DevelopAir Mini as part of a fully assembled package, if you will. So with the case, with a controller, which this module goes into, as well as a battery and battery charger. These kits are sold in a little bit different of a format than what we are now selling DevelopAir Mini in, but nonetheless, DevelopAir Mini itself will operate the same. So we have a Legion Go we're going to use for this test flight. This has quickly become our go-to way to test fly DevelopAir Mini. That way we don't have to worry about yet another cable for a controller. The controls are built into the screen, or the side of the screen, side of the device. Has a nice little kickstand to operate while we have it charging as well. And while this Legion Go is booting up, let's go ahead and boot up this DevelopAir Mini. We'll assemble the props or install the props separately. Now, I am technically going against the order of operations here, so luckily, and by luckily, intentionally, there are no props on, where we should have the radio plugged into the computer, in this case our Legion Go, in case the DevelopAir were to catch a signal and arm itself. It could take off, but again, without props being on, the risk is non-existent. And we don't take risk around here. All right, I need to get the screen recording going on here, but let me go ahead and get the Internet Explorer, or whatever Microsoft calls their web browser now, opened up. Let me get snipping tool. I feel like it's sometimes called like snip and sketch, other times it's called snipping tool. And we'll trace the whole screen maybe. There we go. And we'll get a nice loud clap to sync. In 3, 2, 1, we're screen recording. And not a nice loud clap, but it will do. And then www.dev/worldsivue.com, and then /v. We'll get the version for Mohit, our developer. So still using version 1.5.3 from December 31st, the last day of last year. So let's go back to app. World's iVue should load. We have our computer location already there that we could zoom into. And pardon the jankiness from the touch screen. There we go. Trying to rotate with one hand. And we'll open up the iVue RC app, add a drone. First we actually need to connect the radio, again just a standard USB-C connection. Have our short little USB-C cable here, but ought to do the trick. And let's see if we can kind of just prop this up here. Steady. Uh-oh. Yeah, we just had a disconnect on us, so we'll have to reestablish that connection. Totally thought this through before, setting it all up, right? All right. I'm just going to disconnect the radio, reconnect it, connect to drone, STM32, and we have DevelopAir Mini connected. We're going to zoom into its location just to write the orientation of the map, make north face upwards. And now all we need to do is install the props. At least theoretically speaking. Again, this is a new build, so I actually might have to do a compass and accelerometer calibration. We can transfer the configuration from one DevelopAir over to the other, like we did for this DevelopAir Mini. But again, might actually still have to do the compass and accelerometer calibration, as is often the case. Alright, no prop adapter on this motor. It's already taken off at the workshop. At the workshop! Yeah! My beautiful singing for you. Just for you. All right. Now, even though I should probably look in QGroundControl and see if we have any pre-arm errors there, just to see if this DevelopAir Mini is ready to go after copying the configuration from one to the other, from one to this one. We'll go ahead and try to just arm it and take off directly in the iVue RoboControl app. Arming checks are disabled. I don't know if that's an actual correct message or if that's still just there from a previous version where we had disabled arming checks, but I think that's actually been removed. So Mohit, let's confirm that. Set DevelopAir Mini into Loiter flight mode. It was successfully able to set into Loiter flight mode. Now let's go ahead and select Fly Drone, Arm and Fly, and try to take off to just 10 feet and hover. So it's failed to arm, so I bet we do need to do the compass and accelerometer calibration. So I'm going to disconnect in the iVue RoboControl app in World's iVue and just open up QGroundControl. And here pretty much immediately we should see not ready to fly up in the top left in yellow. And here we go. So in guided flight mode, we can change the flight mode once the parameters finish loading.
Loiter flight mode. Prayer 3D accelerometer calibration needed.
Yep, so the accelerometer calibration is needed. It looks like the compass calibration was able to carry over as part of the configuration copying, but let's go ahead. I'm going to bring out this DevelopAir Mini case to give us a nice flat surface to work with. And I think the Legion is charged enough we can unplug that from power and bring this out here with us as well. So let me take off this DevelopAir Mini. I'm gonna hopefully be able to gently close this case without disconnecting this radio. Dun, da, da, dun, da, da, da. And I'm off to work, kids. Got my briefcase.
Accelerometer calibration needed.
On my computer. you know what? It's going on the ground, as much as that kind of pains me to do so. We're going to respect Develop Air Mini more, our own product versus this cheap, well, given there are still Chinese components in the Develop Air Mini. We're working on it, people. All right, sensors, accelerometer. And I'm going to try this with the props against my better judgment, but here goes nothing. All right, so next you can see Develop Air Mini is just straight and level. Now we're going over to the left-hand side, and you could probably already see where having these props isn't the biggest deal doing this accelerometer calibration, but it would certainly, you know, save a couple seconds or so if we didn't have them on. It's all about saving a couple seconds here and there, right? Steady. All right. Not the steadiest I've ever done this, but we're gonna have to do a compass calibration as well by the sounds of it. But that could also just be due to the rotation we're doing right now. And then lastly, upside down with antenna, a little bit more difficult to get that straight and level, but still shouldn't be too bad. All right, all the way in the green.
Excel's calibrated requires reboot.
All right, and parameters, tools, reboot. So it's not ideal we're having to use QGroundControl at all, but we are working on the configuration and calibration UIs for the iVue RoboControl app, so you don't have to touch QGroundControl, but right now iVue RC or iVue RoboControl is really just meant for drone operation, not setup and configuration for the time being. All right, so we've rebooted, and yeah, I think we're also going to need to do a compass.
Fence enabled. Need position estimate. Loiter flight mode.
And no compass calibration is needed. It says fence enabled, need position estimate, but now we should have the position just fine. Now, if we want to disable this geofence, I don't know if we can do so here. Yep, just through that check mark. Otherwise, in iVue RoboControl, we will not be able to actually draw a geofence and have it work properly if this is not checked, and specifically this checkbox there. All right, but we should be fine now to go fly in the iVue RC app, so let's head back up there. And yeah, we'll just take off from that case, so as long as all goes well, there should be no harm in using that case as at least a takeoff pad. I really hope whoever verified that the motors are spinning in the correct direction did their job well. Certainly wasn't me. It wasn't me. You caught me in the shower. It wasn't me. All right, Jacob, we get it. You love singing poorly. All right. Sound effects are necessary, people, especially the high-pitched ones. All right, we're back in Loiter flight mode in the iVue RC app. We're going to select fly drone, arm and fly, take off to 10 feet. How about that? Take that, rewind it back. Nice. Take that, rewind it back. More singing. That electric vehicle behind me sounded like it was coming from Develop Air Mini for a moment. I was like, that's a new sound. All right, I am now going into Loiter flight mode. Forward is forward, back is back, left is left, right is right. Rotation, nice and smooth. And oh my God, the lack of latency is impeccable. And I'm still gonna have to go out there to retrieve the case. Gonna fly it right back home to Daddy. Well, he landed on the table, no balls. Nice. Wasn't that so cute? Well, before we wrap it up here, just a couple of quick questions I want to address. Well, what's the weight of Developer Mini? I see that it's smaller than the larger full-size or base model Developer, which isn't actually in front of us. But for those asking how much it weighs, what better way to show you here in the flesh? Well, video. 1.53 pounds. And that's with no battery and no props installed, so just over 1.5 pounds. And then again, it has 1.5 pounds payload capacity. And oh my goodness, my scale charge just gave out. What a time to go. Oh my goodness. So I was about to give you the weight of the Developer Mini with the props on and the battery, but I guess that's a cliffhanger if I've ever seen one. Tune into our next video. You'll find out more information about these Developer Mini, and you'll see another flight test with the hear flow sensor and the rangefinder with no GPS. So all sorts of Developer Mini information and flight tests and videos coming. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and you'll catch us in the next one. Peace.